Hey, you guys, this is Valerie Z.
And this is Ilka D. And this is the You Unscripted podcast,
where we empower you to speak your truth by tapping in to your authenticity. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to You Unscripted. This is episode 3. I am Valerie Z.
I am Ilka D.
And this is You Unscripted.
We are here. We are here. So, you know what? Here's one of the things. We're going to start off the podcast by giving you guys a little intro for those who are just joining us. So, You Unscripted is a podcast that my friend Valerie and I put together and developed over the course of my sessions with Val. And we realized that what we wanted to do was create a space to just rip away all of the societal expectations, norms, and restrictions that we've all grown to mold ourselves within and allow a space for us to just be free and open, Val.
Yeah. And what I'll add to that is that it's a space where we come together to speak our truth so that we can build a connection with society. Because once people listen to us speak our truth, that invites people out there listening to speak their truth to whoever they feel comfortable and safe with. Because speaking your truth, the things that you don't want to talk about, but dang, does it weigh you down?
Super anchors, right? There are so many things that we are unable to talk about because of our own fears. We're unwilling to talk about because
stigmas,
perspectives. We don't want people to have negative perspectives of our abilities to perform, our abilities to be present. We don't want to be misjudged. And You Unscripted is about throwing all of that in the trash and creating a platform and a space for people to come and say, I'm over it. And to express yourself, to release what's bogging you down, to give yourself an opportunity to be heard and validated, and to learn not only about yourself, but about how you may impact the people around you and how you can improve on all of that at once. We're not here to tell you what's right or wrong. We're here to sympathize with you on this journey, because the journeys that both Val and I have been on are extensive and deep and intensely traumatic. And we're still here, and we're still swinging.
We're still growing, evolving, learning, giving ourselves grace, because healing isn't linear.
No, you know what? You know what healing is like? You know what healing is like? Healing is like taking an entire 20-gallon bucket of teeny tiny little marbles and just turning that motherfucker over and spilling it all over the ground. That is what healing is like. And, you know, one of the things that I want to be honest about is that we are still healing. You know, we've talked about healing in previous episodes. We won't bog you down with that at this point. But healing is a journey that isn't ever done. You know, there's going to be a lot of times where you make some progress and you feel great and you feel validated. You know, you're feeling validated because you're validating yourself. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, like this person or that thing or this smell or whatever song or whatever the heck comes on. And all of a sudden you are right back in that deep, dark hole for an instant. And that's when you know you're healing, is that it's an instant. It's not hours or weeks or months or years. It's an instant. And you know that you have done some really incredible work when you can pull yourself out of there. You're still feeling that weight. You're still feeling that pain, concern, fear, whatever it is, but it's not preventing you from progressing in your day, in your week, whatever the case. And I owe a significant amount of my ability to do that. Even right now, as we speak right now in this moment, I am dealing with some fucking shit. But that is why I am able to do the show, and why I want to do the show with you, Val, is I want people to understand, and I want to understand myself better, but I want people to understand that if I can do this, you can do this. Like, trust. This has not been easy to pull yourself up after significant trauma, extensive trauma. It's not easy. And, you gotta keep a straight face. You gotta get up every day. You gotta go to work. You gotta deal with the kids or your spouse or your significant other, or your friends or your family. Like, you have to function. It's interesting because going into this week's kind of meditation about what we wanted to talk about, I was asked a question by my therapist last week.
Okay.
Shout out Daryl. What's up, Daryl? Anyway, who is a phenomenal therapist. He's a licensed therapist. So I'm going to let you guys in on something. We're talking about authenticity, so let's do it. Okay.
Let's do it.
So last October had been already almost 2 years that I've been dealing with a really, really significant, destructive, insane, contentious divorce. And one of the elements of that was required by some of these proceedings was that both of the people involved seek therapy to help you through the situation. And I was already seeing Valerie. Val is a certified hypnotherapist. She is a life coach. She's been doing this for quite some time. Obviously, as you guys already know, she's done her own thing. She's got a program. It's, whole thing. So that satisfied my box. But through the phases of this, I have needed more help. And so last October, I inundated myself. I was like, I need more. I need to do more. I was literally ditching Val every chance I got after going through so much work. I had fallen back into just a divot, just a ditch of unassuredness and insecurities, and all kinds of stuff started happening. So I picked up two more licensed therapists. Like, one wasn't enough. I don't know what I was thinking at the moment, but I needed it. Like, I just needed extra help. And so that's when I picked up Daryl through BetterHelp. But I think it always comes down to the individual. Val and I connected on a particular element the second we started speaking to each other. I think that that's really important, to connect, to have a genuine connection with your therapist, because if you don't, your words are going to fall flat. These sessions aren't going to be worth a shit, and you're wasting your money and your time and their money and their time, and it's not going to give you the outcome that you want. You got to be willing. You really do have to want change, right, Val?
Absolutely.
Right? So I found Daryl. Daryl's dope. But Daryl posed a question to me last week, and I really wanted to bring that to the show this week. What is the difference between confidence and conceit? If you are conceited, are you confident? Or if you are confident, does that mean you're conceited? And it was like, what in the hell? Where is this question coming from? And I'll tell you guys why. Because, I bring this up because it really did open up a really great conversation. It brought in questions about worthiness. It brought in questions about belief in yourself. It brought up, we touched on so many things in that conversation, but I wanted to bring it to the podcast because, Val, what's the difference between confidence and conceitedness, in your opinion?
Conceitedness to me just seems so self-centered, and it's very much about your physical appearance, and maybe there's a tie to arrogance.
Yeah, agree. So What do you think confidence is then?
Well, confidence is silent. Confidence is you don't need to put other people down. You don't need to pick yourself up by having this arrogant energy. Oh, I'm too good for this. I'm too good for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think true confidence is silent. It's an energy. It's the way you carry yourself. It's a energetic kindness, because with confidence, you can be kind and it doesn't devalue you. I think with conceitedness, there's an air of arrogance. And if there's an air of arrogance there, then there's insecurity.
We get to the pivotal word. So I'm going to throw this out to the crowd really quick. What do you guys think the difference is between confidence and conceitedness? And in your question to yourself, consider the audience, right? That was something that was like, what? And because he asked me, are you confident? Yeah, I'm confident about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I have also been very quiet about my confidence. So I have a level of humility that sometimes takes over to where my confidence is overshadowed, right, by my insecurities.
Ooh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right? So his response was brilliant. His response was so super dope. You know what he said? He said, so I give my response. And of course, my response was loaded with kind of some questioning in the response. It wasn't even a confident response, right? I was like, well, I think this, right? Like, right? I wasn't, boom, it's this. And he said to me, he's like, okay. He's like, no, you're not wrong. He said, confidence is for you and conceitedness is for everybody else. I was like, ooh, that's so dope, because it's so true. And you commented on it. You said arrogance. You said, other people. You're talking about, arrogance is not confidence. Arrogance is literally that, is you're doing it for other people. It requires other people to be arrogant. You can't be arrogant by yourself, for yourself.
It's what you're externalizing to other people.
Yes, yes. And so then we started getting into that undertone, right? The insecurities. And that's what tends to start to impact the degree of concentrated confidence, right? You dilute your own confidence when you're focusing on making sure someone else sees that confidence. You don't have to push it out. It is and exists within you, and it's for you. But when we are insecure about whatever you're insecure about, then we start to overcompensate in a way, because what we're looking for is we're looking for that external validation. One of the things that I work on with Val is the concept of worthiness and being worthy, right? Being worthy of good things happening for you, being worthy of love, being worthy of success, being worthy of peace. As simple as that sounds, what do you guys think about that concept of worthiness? What do you guys consider worthiness? Because it's almost the same question.
When I think of worthiness, I think of when I first started healing and I started feeling positive emotion, because I was stuck in a cycle of constantly feeling bad or feeling like I was in victimhood. And so when I started feeling positive emotions, I didn't feel worthy of feeling that way. And that's where the word worthiness first started to pop up for me. Why don't I feel worthy of being happy? Whoa.
Do you guys ever feel that? Do you guys ever feel like you are not worthy of happiness? And And what was that like for you? Because it's crazy. Some people, lucky you guys, have never felt that. And then you've got a significant percentage of the world, to be honest, that is operating off of either a familial or a work or a social responsibility that you are chasing. You're chasing this marker, this milestone that someone outside of you said you have to meet by this age, by this time, by whatever criteria it might be. You have to reach this. You should have been here already. You should have had this already. You should be experiencing this by now, right? Those words, those measures of whatever performance in your life somehow start to detract from what you feel you should be able to obtain. And you start to feel like maybe you're not worthy of obtaining that. Maybe you haven't done enough. Maybe you haven't lived enough, suffered enough, worked enough, studied enough, right? We get to that element of, am I enough for this? Am I enough for him? Am I enough for her? Am I enough for that? Maybe I'm not enough. And that starts to chip away at your confidence because you thought you were, which is why you're in this rat race and whatever the definition of that is, whatever lane you're in, right? Val? Like if you're in it, it's because you thought you could do it. What do you think?
I am not enough or I am not good enough is a very common limiting belief, and it's stored in the subconscious mind because we get programmed with these false narratives from a very young age, depending on our caregivers, our siblings. Maybe we were bullied at school. Maybe it was a teacher, and it can also be generational. Do you know how many times generational trauma comes up in my hypnotherapy sessions with my clients? All the time. And in my own hypnotherapy sessions too. There's so much trauma on my mom's side, like generational trauma. But the feeling of not feeling worthy of success, of love, of money, of peace is very common. And also the feeling of not feeling enough, not good enough for the dream job, not good enough for the abundance, not good enough for that ideal relationship or that ideal partner. It's very common. That's why I love doing hypnotherapy. And that's why I got certified, is because I love helping people reprogram in the subconscious mind. And it's so interesting to see what the root cause is. Sometimes it's something that happened to somebody at the age of 5. Sometimes it can be, I'll give you an example. It's witnessing their parents fighting when they were a baby, or at the age of 4, they're witnessing their parents fighting. And what do children do when they're witnessing a traumatic event like that is that they blame themselves. They feel responsible for what is happening for whatever reason. It's very common that children do that. And so that creates a false narrative in the subconscious mind of a child, which is programmed by the age of 7. And so the beauty about the work that we've been doing and the work that I love to do is that I get to have such a rewarding job where I can go into the subconscious mind and reprogram that for them, reframe it. And now the subconscious mind is, instead of disempowering somebody, it's now going to empower them, because that limiting belief of not feeling good enough is no longer there. You never have to deal with that again. From that moment forward, don't have to feel like that ever again.
You guys, one of the things that is super important for me for this show, in terms of the objective of this show, is for you guys to realize that there really is a way to fix yourself. There really is. I'll give you an example. So, since the world decided that it was cool to address mental health, we've seen just an abundance, like an inundation, like a tsunami amount of mental health, self-awareness, self-help, self-love kind of accounts go up on Instagram, TikTok, you name it. Social media has just been flooded with it, right? And like sometimes those sites, even though they are well intended, actually start to worsen the situation that you're in, because you start to read these things every day, like I did. Like when my life started to fucking crumble and I wasn't able to hold the pieces together as I had been able to for my entire life, all of a sudden I'm reading these posts and I'm starting to feel worse. Like, wait a minute, I sure as fuck do not have a healthy relationship. I don't have healthy communication, because I'm seeing all these healthy communication is this, a healthy relationship is that, a healthy lifestyle is this, self-love is that. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like negative on all of this shit. Like, what? This is actually working against me than it is helping me, right? Because I'm measuring my degree of happiness, my degree of ability, my degree of satisfaction, my relationship, my degree of all these things by all these things I'm reading. And like, what I don't want you guys to assume is that that is therapy. That is not therapy. Those are accounts, not saying that all of them are like that. There are some really great people out there that are doing some wonderful work, and they're using social media as an extension to that work that they're doing. But when you're talking about accounts that are faceless, they are accounts that are simply just posts and videos and things of that nature, that is literally for clicks, you guys. That is literally for clicks. And what I don't want is for those things to start working against your desire to release your pent up anger, frustration, pain, trauma. That is not therapy. Therapy, even if, for those of you out there that are Catholic, right? When you used to go to confession, there used to be two options. You used to either A, actually go face to face with the priest, which I was like, what? No, no, we're not doing that. Or item number two, which was always my choice, is you can kneel behind the little screen and he never actually sees your face. Although, you know, the truth is that they start to learn your voice after a while, but you could stand behind the screen, if you will, and you can, you know, have that conversation in a way that gives you some anonymity. That is what we're used to in terms of dealing with our inner issues, is the anonymity. That's why most people don't want to go to therapy, because they don't want to actually be in front of somebody. They don't want to go to somebody they don't know, and they don't want to talk about something that is just their deepest, darkest secret or troubled item. They don't want to do that. But here's the thing, you guys. Like, I want you guys to understand that this process, right? When you really want to undertake this process of just dumping the shit in your life, I mean, it really is that simple. You get to a point where you're like, I'm done carrying all of this shit around with me. I can't function with this stack the size of the world on my shoulders, right? When you make that conscious decision, there's an element of confidence that starts to rebuild inside you, because you've taken control of yourself without having to ask anybody for permission. I'm done, period. That's a sentence that is as powerful as can be. I'm done. Are you really done though? Like, are you really done dealing with that abusive husband or wife? Are you really done dealing with the trauma and pain that you're carrying around locked inside your heart that is literally chipping away like cancer throughout your body to your soul. You are just black and rotted, but on the outside, you're good to go. Like, this question about, am I confident? It just opened up so much. And as Valerie mentioned, like, we really are in a position where we are just sharing with you guys what we've done to help ourselves. Val is obviously my leader in a sense in this process, but I also have to have my own responsibility in the process. And like I said, I mean, there's been months where I'm like, deuces, I'm out. Like, I'm done talking about this because I've made some progress. I have to go to work. I have other shit I have to do. All of a sudden, life does what life does, as everybody says, right? Life starts lifing. Val, I think you at one point told me the same thing. Like, even though I've done all this work, I'm dealing with some things right now too. And like, when she said that to me, I was like, this is interesting. Never once have I ever heard a therapist say to me, you know what, I'm having a hard time today too. Never once. The second that she said that to me, I was like, you're a human being. So you're a human being. You're real, right? Now I'm feeling validated. And the second I started to feel validated, I started to feel more confidence about my process, about my work that I'm doing to fix this. Val, tell them, share with them the fluctuations in this process as they make way. What is this like to actually start fixing your own shit?
No matter how much inner work you do and how much growth you have, life is still going to throw you curveballs. And you still have to grow through those curveballs. You still have to find the silver lining in those situations. So I've been on my healing journey now for almost 10 years. And yeah, there's always something to work on, because what happens is that life will throw you a curveball and you realize, you know what? I have not worked on my relationship issues ever. I've never looked at that because I was so engulfed in finding self-love and cultivating self-love, where I hadn't worked on that before. So everything that life throws at me, I look at it as an opportunity to learn more about myself, to learn more about the wounds that maybe I have not shined a light on yet. So I look at it as an opportunity that life is trying to teach me something. What is life trying to teach me here? What can I learn about myself? And what can I learn about the outside world? And if I were to give myself grace right now, what would that look like in this situation? What do I need to accept about myself? What am I resisting right now? Am I trying to control something? If I'm feeling angry or frustrated, what am I trying to control? Because I realize that when we're feeling angry or frustrated, something's not going our way. And that is triggering something inside of us, right? And so typically it's because we want to control some outcome. We want to control some situation, or we're not hearing what we want to hear. And so if I choose to give myself grace, how do I do that? Well, I need to surrender to the present moment. It is what it is. What is happening for my greater good. Why? Because in this moment, I need to learn patience. I need to learn to be patient with myself most of all, because what I'm dealing with right now is that I'm dealing with the challenge in my life, and I need to give my life grace right now, because I don't need to give myself additional stress by trying to control and resist and fight and create negativity in my life. I feel like I have endured enough resentment and negativity and anger that I do not want to invite that in. So giving myself grace is recognizing, stopping and recognizing, pausing just for a moment and saying, I don't want to invite anger in. I can, but God, am I tired? How do I love myself in this moment? Well, I can choose to love myself deeply by not making myself a victim right now. It's really easy to make yourself a victim. Very easy. But that doesn't give you an opportunity to grow. What gives you an opportunity to grow is to move away from victimhood.
Explain that to them, because you guys, like, I want these episodes to provide you guys something tangible that you can implement, right? Like, literally, we're not doing this just for the fuck of it because, like, you guys don't have 10 million other podcasts you can listen to. There's so much out there. Like, it, I want you guys to take something away from these sessions, if you will. And I want you guys to understand some things because, she just said like a whole lot of shit. Like, first of all, giving yourself grace. We talk about that in one of our prior episodes. What is giving yourself grace is literally giving yourself a second to just not beat the shit out of yourself. Like, stop beating yourself up. I am a PhD in fuck me all day long, because again, she said something else that's extremely pivotal: control. We often try to control so much. And the more you feel your life spinning out of control, for some of us, the more you try to control it. I am extremely guilty of that in my life, of having so much, carrying so much responsibility on myself alone, that for anything to not go exactly as I planned it was just an opportunity for me to start punching myself, kicking myself, roundhousing myself. Like, I was literally going at it, planning atom bombs in my psyche because I can't control this. I can't stop this from getting worse. And the truth is that when you're in that mindset, you're making it worse on yourself, dude. Like, you're literally making it worse on yourself because now you become your own worst enemy. Valerie just said some really pivotal things. And so then she gets into this concept, right, of giving yourself a second to say, I'm not going to invite this negativity into my life. Like, Val, explain to them what that means. What does it mean to actually not go down that deep, dark hole and start to destroy yourself in the process of accepting life?
I think that when things happen to us, we have a choice. We have a choice to either be reactive and continue the same patterns of the past. But we obviously know that those don't serve us anymore. We're trying to grow. We're trying to heal. We're trying to be better people, become the best version of ourselves. So then what's the other option? The other option that we're presented with is to be proactive about our growth in that moment. And so how do we do that? We start looking at how we are perceiving what is happening. Because if we continue to perceive things from the victim perspective, then we're going to act the same way we've been acting in the past, right? Which is with impulse, maybe aggression, unconsciously, right? Or we can choose to become conscious in that moment. We can choose to observe. And it's just a simple question. You can choose to ask yourself a simple question. What is this trying to teach me right now? What can I learn from this?
You said everything has a silver lining.
Everything has a silver lining. Yes, every situation has a silver lining. And what happens that in your growth, as you become more self-aware, as you are more healed, you start to find the silver linings quicker. The more you build that resilience muscle, that muscle also comes with the intelligence to find the silver lining in every situation much quicker. Here's the thing though, by finding the silver lining, that doesn't mean bypassing the emotion of what that situation caused. You still have to go through the process of feeling it. But in the process of feeling it, if you're asking yourself empowering questions like, what can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me about myself? And if you're willing to get radically honest with yourself with those questions, because you have to take accountability in those moments. And when you do that, you're going to find the silver lining quicker. And I feel like that is the sweet spot of life when you're able to find the silver lining in a situation much faster than what you would have in the past, because in the past, it might take you 2 years to find the silver lining in a situation. Whereas now it takes you 3 months, because now you're getting really honest with yourself and you have the courage to take accountability. You can take accountability with other people, cool, but you need to take accountability internally. That is a game changer. That is self-love. That is true self-love, because that is how you're going to grow. When you start taking accountability to yourself, getting honest with yourself, that is how you start moving out of victimhood. When you start moving out of...
Can I get an amen?
Hey,
yes, dude.
because when you start moving out of victimhood, when you consciously choose to move out of victimhood, that is true self-love. That is when you're like, all right, bitch, we ain't going to live on victimhood lane anymore. No. We are moving out of victimhood lane. That is how you start loving yourself, is that you start moving away from victimhood and you start getting radically honest with yourself about your shit, about your flaws.
I love it when she says that. When she says that kind of shit, it trips me the fuck out. Radical honesty.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is that? What is radical honesty? Like, look, straight up, we laugh about it, right? We laugh about it. Society as a whole, probably everybody has said, oh, what a hoe. She's a hoe. He's a hoe. Everyone's a hoe, right? But have you ever said, damn, I'm such a hoe? That is radical honesty. Like, wow, I smoked a pound of weed. Wow, I did that whole gram. Wow, I stole that shit. Wow, did I really do that shit? Like, why am I doing this? We don't ask ourselves the real questions, you guys. We don't. And that, when she started to say to me, radical honesty, I was like, what in the fuck? What is this, something I gotta buy? Like, what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's that. It's the legit, raw, stop lying to yourself. No, stop. Nope. Stop it. Stop lying. Stop fucking lying.
Get radically honest with yourself about your insecurities. Get radically honest with yourself about your flaws, because if you don't get radically honest with yourself, you're never going to change that. These things that you don't like about yourself, but you still do them because you shy away from admitting to yourself that they're there. Once you take accountability and say, you know what? I'm a fucking asshole. And I hate it. I don't like being a fucking asshole. Like, I am such a bitch sometimes. Like, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that I'm like that. And
just crack the egg open, bro. Like, be real. Like, be real with yourself. Because, and I'm not talking about self-loathing. Again,
no,
let's not go there.
I mean, we could talk about that, but this is different.
You know, radical honesty is not self-loathing. I'm horrible at this. I'm the worst at that. I suck. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about admitting to yourself, just admitting your shit to yourself.
Correct.
Admitting it to yourself. Like, just literally tell yourself the fucking truth about you. Because we're so good at telling the truth about everybody else.
Oh,
I am brilliant. I have built a career on I am literally hired to tell people where they're fucking up in their business, where they're fucking up in their careers, where they're fucking up in their relationships, where they're fucking up. Like, trust me when I tell you that it's easy to tell someone else how to fix it. It's easy to fix someone else. I have been completely remiss at having that same honesty with myself until this lady right here told me that shit. And I was like, what? Like, are you talking about? And it really is that simple. Be honest with yourself. And then you go, oh shit, you know what? You start to realize that that argument, that failed deal, that situation that went left, you start to see the errors that you start to make. And that's the part where there's the opportunity. That's the silver lining that she's talking about. Because the opportunity is I can actually change something for the better.
I'll give you guys an example of radical self-honesty.
Please.
I'll give you guys a very humble example, a very vulnerable example. Many, many years ago, I used to drink, and I used to drink a lot. I would black out. I'd wake up in strange places. I'd wake up and not know how I got home, yet my keys were there. I had driven. I was a blackout drinker. I was a hot mess. And things kept happening in that hot mess where I'd wake up and be like consumed with shame. And it started taking a toll on my mental health. I had very low self-esteem. And then one day there was a rock bottom moment where I woke up from a blackout and I got radically honest with myself. And I admitted to myself that I didn't love myself. Because if I did, I would not be drinking the way I was drinking. I would not put myself in situations that were dangerous, because somebody who loves themselves isn't going to drink knowing that they're going to lose control and blackout. So I started connecting the dots of my behavior to my self-love. And there was no connection, right? Because get this, I was the type of person that was posting about self-love on social media. I'd see a post about self-love and I'd post it. But my lifestyle was not a demonstration of that. My lifestyle was self-destructive. So that was not true self-love. That was fake self-love, right? That was conceit. That was being conceited. Because I was telling everybody, hey, I love myself. Look at me. I'm posting this shit. The reality was that I was living a life where I was blacking out and I was playing Russian roulette with my life every weekend. And I didn't care.
Crazy.
I did not care.
That's crazy.
And so what did I get honest with myself about? The radical self-honesty that changed my life was when I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you do not love yourself. Because if you did, you would not be living your life this way. And when I realized that I didn't love myself, I, from that moment forward, was on a quest to find self-love no matter what I did. From that moment forward, it was an opportunity for me to make a decision. I hit a fork in the road. It was go this way and continue on a self-destructive path, continue to act in a way that is in alignment with self-hate. That's not self-love. Or you can choose to go this way and change your life and pursue self-love. No matter what you do, you are going to find self-love, baby girl. And it is going to change the direction of your life. So that was a very pivotal moment for me. And now I'm going on 7 years sober.
That's awesome.
Congratulations,
dude. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's what I mean by radical self-honesty, is that I had to tell myself, you don't love yourself.
At that point, did you start to let go of the intent to control the outcome? Like, because I feel like most of us, myself included, right? Like, I feel like we try so hard to control the outcome, not for any negative reason. I mean, I think it's positive initially, right? But I think that inability to let go. So you said something, it is what it is. A friend of mine says that all the time. It is what it is. And in years past, anyone who would say it is what it is, I always felt like, not that it's a cop out, but it's like, come on, like, you could do more than that. But the truth of the matter is that you can't. You can't control the universe. You can't control people. You can't control anything, really. I mean, the only thing that you can control is yourself. That's a lesson I learned the very, 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 very hard way. And now I think that I'm more inclined to just let the rest of it be, because I know that I can handle me. You know what I mean? And that's not a thought process that was that clear to me until I started doing all this work, because I started to realize it is what it is. Like, it really is what it is. Like, you can do your best to ruin your life and it not work. I mean, how many people out there have actually tried to, unfortunately, end their lives and it didn't work? And it's like, you can't control even that. You have to be willing, like Valerie says, you have to be willing to see the positive, the opportunity in something going awry, because there's a lesson to be learned there. And I feel like when you're willing to learn it, you actually start to see it. And I mean, immediately things start to unravel in your brain, like, whoa, okay, hold up. Right? This is a chance to reconcile some of these thoughts I'm having, some of these feelings I'm having.
Yeah, because so for example, going back to what I was talking about, that moment for me, that rock bottom moment presented an opportunity, and I started asking myself a different kind of question. So instead of asking myself, why me, and going back into that victimhood mindset, something shifted and I recognized that I was in the driver's seat. And so the questions went from why me to what is this moment trying to teach me about me? What is God trying to teach me about myself here? And the answer was, you don't love yourself. That was the answer. That was the question that changed my life. Because from that moment forward, it was a very bittersweet moment, because to admit to yourself that you don't love yourself is not easy.
No, it's not.
It's very uncomfortable.
It's not. For me, it was random, just random. It literally, actually, at that moment, was not even about me. I was putting my daughter in the back seat, in her car seat. She was 3. And I don't even remember where we were going, to be honest, because this moment just completely derailed everything until I made the decision to start to change my life. I put her in her car seat, and as cute as humanly possible, I usually would put her in her car seat and I would give her a little kiss, and I would get in the front seat or get in the driver's seat, whatever the case was. And in this particular case, I had just clicked her seatbelt right across her chest. And she looked up at me and she said, "Mommy?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you love yourself?"
Wow.
That's one of those moments where like you stop and you like look around, because you're like, what? Where is this coming from? I didn't even know how to process that, to be honest with you. And I think my knee-jerk reaction was, "Well, do you love yourself?" And she goes, "Yes,
Wow.
I do."
Aww.
You're talking about a baby. She's 3 years old. The number one, I didn't even know where this question was coming from, where it may have formalized. Where did she hear it? Did she hear it? Is she just asking me this? What kind of look is on my face that she's asking me this? Like, so many questions started to generate in my mind at that moment. And I think even though it threw me into this kind of netherworld, like I didn't even know where to place it. I couldn't understand why it was asked of me, but it took me years. And I mean years. It took me like 5 years from that moment until I finally realized that I did not love myself. And I'm sure there were many physical cues. There were maybe social cues. There were all sorts of things that could have given her the perception that I didn't love myself. It wasn't anything outward, I think, in the sense of like an outward hate for myself, as much as it is whatever was going on internally. I'm pretty sure that she could see that. That eventually was the reason why I decided to start making some fucking drastic changes in my life. I had to change my environment, and I had to do it fast, because not only was it impacting me, it was impacting her at a young age. And things were happening that I didn't know were happening in the environment that we were all living in. I had to make a very drastic and insane decision to protect myself and my children. And instantaneously, when this element was removed from our lives, it was just incredible how quickly I started to realize how damaged I was and how used to the pain and the abuse I had become. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. You know, when you stop drinking, if you keep telling yourself that you're not an alcoholic and you finally don't drink, you're going to feel that. The same with drug addiction. You're going to feel that. The same with addiction to a person who's abusive to you. You know, narcissistic abuse is insane. And when that person is removed from you, you literally don't know what to do with your life. You don't know what to do with yourself. Your nervous system has been altered. Your physical self has been altered. Your social self has been altered. Like, you have to reprogram your existence. And it is hard, you guys. It is hard. It is excruciating. And, you know, Valerie has shared some things with me, and I'm sure eventually we'll get to them with you guys in context. But, you know, that was the connection that we had. Within the first 10 minutes of us being on the phone, there was no hiding my pain. Like I was at a point where it was just coming out no matter who I was talking to, no matter what was going on. I could be talking to the telephone guy. I could be talking to the landscaper. I could be talking to anybody, dude. And it was just pouring out of my pores. Like, I could not keep in this profound depression and pain that I was in. And Valerie immediately said, I know exactly what you feel. I understand what you're feeling. And then she shared with me, and it was like, oh shit. All of a sudden you put your life in perspective. And she's able to, as we are trying to do together with all of you, she was able to lead me, not do it for me, but to lead me out of this darkness that I didn't realize I was very much in for decades. And you guys are listening to her testimony. That radical honesty eventually gave Valerie confidence. It eliminated the conceit, because when we are in a state of conceitedness, we are searching for external validation. When you start to give yourself the love that she refers to, you start to feel worthy again of life, of things. And we are having a very frank and open conversation with each other and with you guys, because from the outside, no one would have thought that I needed that. And I'm sure that there are millions of you out there that are also living this very difficult life of putting on the best face for the people outside of you. And you may be phenomenal and you may be doing amazing things in your career. But when you look internally and you really take inventory of yourself, you are in a very dark and lonely place. And we want to reach out to you.
I would say take the time, just like how you perform for other people, to people please or to smile and go out and face the world. Like, face yourself. Give yourself that validation, that attention that you so desperately seek from other people. Give it to yourself. When I realized that I did not have self-love, I learned about mirror work, and it was really hard at first.
Absolutely.
Look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, Valerie. So look yourself in the mirror, straight in the eyes. Do not look away. Pretend that you are talking to your best friend and say, I love you with your name after that. It was so uncomfortable for me at first. I would cry because I didn't believe it. I didn't feel it. I was lying to myself. But after a while, it got easier. And so what I would recommend for anybody struggling with self-love, start facing yourself. Start getting honest with yourself about what you don't love about yourself and start changing it little by little. And if you don't love yourself, I'm here to tell you that I dissociated from myself at the age of 5. I hated that little girl. I thought she was disgusting. And I didn't know that I hated myself till I was in my 30s in therapy, trying to figure out why I didn't love myself. So if you are struggling with self-love and you're listening to this podcast, I'm here to tell you that I struggled with it too for many years, for most of my life. And I've come to a very sweet spot with confidence, not conceit. Confidence, and self-love. And you can get there too. It's not impossible. And so what I would tell you to start with is start with mirror work. Look yourself in the eyes every single day, right when you're brushing your teeth. It's the first thing you're going to do in the morning. You're going to look yourself in the eyes and say, I love you, and pretend.
Do it.
Fake it till you make it. Pretend that you're talking to your best friend. Do that for 30 days straight every single day and see how you feel after those 30 days. It will make a difference. It will make an impact.
You guys are hearing it straight from the person who helped me change my life. And I want to thank you, Val, for agreeing to do the show with me and to go on this journey together, because we are very similar, very different, and then very similar people. You know, we have, I think, a really awesome story apart and together. And I love that we are reaching out to people just by having this conversation with each other every week, which is an additional session for me in a sense. You know, like, I think part of being honest with yourself is being able to recognize that whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, we can all be better people. There's never a finite point of, okay, I got to this point, so I'm a perfect person. No such thing. And we all know that. But I think in the trajectory of our lives, we go through different phases, and, you know, just like anything else, those phases can wear you down. They can generate traits in you as a person that you want to improve or that you want to leave behind, right? We have to survive. It's how we live. But, you know, in the scheme of it is what it is, don't forget yourself in that process. It's not that I want to continuously and shamelessly plug Valerie, but I do, because she has and continues to be a huge catalyst in the improvement of my life and the quality of my life, because I choose it to be that way. And you guys can make that choice too. We love that you guys are here. We love to be here for you. Thanks, Val, for getting together with me and you know, making sure that we got this on the schedule this week for another episode.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here with us. And we look forward to seeing you guys again next week.
Yeah, thank you too, Oka. It's really a pleasure to do this with you. For anybody listening, know that you are worthy of growth. You are worthy of happiness. Even if you don't believe it, you are worthy of it. It is your birthright. And if you want to share your stories with us, we want to hear from you. If you have any aha moments or you're struggling with something, we want to hear from you. So I have an email address for the You Unscripted podcast where you can email us and let us know your story. Let us know what your struggle is so that we can help you, and we will address that on the show. It's You Unscripted at valeriezapeta.com. I will put that in the show notes. Email us, let us know your story so that we can help you address it and overcome it. transcend it, and find that self-love and joy, because that is our birthright, you guys. This is the You Unscripted podcast, where we speak our truth so that you can speak yours, so that you can become the best version of yourself. Because once you speak your truth, your world starts to change.
We'd love to be here with you every week for your evolution. And we are so excited to be part of your journey as you are part of ours. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ilka D.
I'm Valerie Z.
And this is the You Unscripted podcast.
And we'll see you next week.